A Colorado police officer did just that in the late 70s, and his story is coming out in an upcoming Spike Lee movie called Blackklansman. The movie also incorporates footage from last year's Charlottesville, Virginia rally, which makes you wonder, how far have we actually come in race relations?
Well, when it comes to the treatment of black people and other minorities, very far. However, the left wants to go back to malevolent racism, but in this case, towards whites.
I wanted to ask him how he fooled the Klan into letting them join their ranks and what he makes of the persistence of these hate groups 40 years later.
Does that threat still exist today?
That threat never goes away. It has never gone away. If anything, under Donald Trump, it's gotten more common, more every day.
If you sincerely believe that, you're a moron. The amount of hate crimes that have increased is negligible, and the number of white supremacists and white supremacist groups has drastically dropped. Groups like the KKK make up less than 1% of the US population.
For Blackklansman, Lee intentionally creates parallels between the rhetoric being used in the Trump era with the hate speech among white supremacists in the 1970s.
America first.
Just because a racist says something and another person says something that is exactly the same doesn't necessarily mean that the second person is also a racist, nor does it mean that they're trying to say the same thing.
When you saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia, how did you feel? What was your reaction to those events?
That didn't surprise me. Having these idiots march around saying Jews will not replace us, carrying the torches, which is nothing but a symbol of cross burning. What disgusted me was the idiot imbecile that currently occupies Barack Obama's old seat.
Listen how he calls it Barack Obama's old seat. Such and such is sitting in Bush's seat, or such and such is sitting in Clinton's seat, or such and such is sitting in Reagan's seat. You never hear that. And with how he thinks racism is still alive today, makes me think that he is probably a racist himself. I say this because I don't think he would say that if it was a white man that was in office before Trump.
That idiot that now sits in the White House, who came out and tried to establish an equivalency between what they were doing with what the protesters were doing and saying, that disgusted me.
Both sides were and it was actually Antifa who started it.
When you see these type of groups rear their ugly, nasty, filthy, vile heads, call it for what it is and take whatever appropriate action that you can to put a stop to it.
Or you could just ignore it, like we've been doing for decades now, because these kinds of rallies have been happening for years, and only recently have they started to be looked at more. And as I said earlier, groups like the KKK make up less than 1% of the US population.
We've all seen the headlines, from the rise of police brutality to white supremacy.
There is no rise in police brutality.
The mistreatment of people of color in America is widespread.
No, it's not. The majority of malevolent racism is toward white people. The biggest amount of racism that people of color face today in the United States is actually benevolent racism. If you want to hear more on that topic, I'll put the link to my video, Racism in America. But that's it for today. If you liked this video, please give it a like, subscribe, share it, comment down below, and tell me what you thought. And I'll see y'all later.
I'll never be a